morning, Stocktwits Nation. It is Wednesday, September 17th. Happy FOMC Day. We're about to fed around and find out. I'm joined by Jake Wujastyk and Jerremy Newsome. What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Not much. Ready for should be an interesting day.
Yeah. I see Jerremy Alexander Newsome's got some visual aids with the thumbs up icon popping. That's good.
I'm not sure what's happening, but that intro song is such a banger,
I know.
and I really do feel like it is produced by Sum 41 just for this show.
Yes, Sum 41 was so
what a
good.
band. What a
Do
band.
one of those AI dance things like we did with Shy.
I know. We need to do like a moshing. Yeah. Did you guys listen to a lot of like Blink 182 and Sum 41? Okay. Corn.
I did. Yes, of course.
Big corn guy.
Big corn guy. Limp Bizkit I listened to 4 or 5 times.
There's a new Limp Bizkit song.
No way.
It's literally called Sleeping with Morgan Wallen. Literally.
Incredible. No, I haven't heard this.
So
breaking news.
Breaking news. It came up on my Spotify Discover Weekly. It's ticker Spot. And it's actually like kind of good.
All right.
So check it out. Sleeping with Morgan Wallen.
It's going to get a few more listens. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know what the tie-in with Morgan Wallen is. But anyway, we got a big day. You guys got I know you guys got some setups to share. We're of course tracking the Fed meeting today. And as I've been hyping all week, we've got Cracker Barrel reporting after the closing bell.
Today.
Wow. Today. Wow, so it's a big one. Jake, I know you've been talking up JD a bit. Do you want to kick off with that one? Because there's some drama brewing out of China this morning with NVIDIA banning their chips again. Jensen Huang says he is quote unquote disappointed. Very muted response. But we were talking about the China trade last time you were here, and you brought up JD. So maybe we kick off there and a little JD, a little BIDU, and we hop around.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. You know, the China trade's kind of just been a thing, I think, for a while at this point. Yeah. So
look at this chart.
The whole
Jake is a Picasso of price action.
I don't know if Picasso is what you want to be if you're doing.
He's so good.
An artiste.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jeremy. You know, the whole thing that we were talking about, and I think I remember like this candle. It was in July we started talking about this because we were breaking out of this descending, this trend line that was just, diagonal trend line breakout. And we had not gotten into the volume gap yet. We were discussing, okay, next couple months are generally pretty bullish for China in general. And we're kind of seeing it play out. And in the most China stock way possible, where you just have this kind of musical chairs of China stocks. And this is exactly how they always move. It's kind of crazy. So the thesis on BIDU, Baba, I mean, both of those have already just absolutely exploded to the upside. The thesis was partially on the chart of those individual names, but the main thing was this volume gap on the Hang Seng index. So like, this is why I was so just had pretty high conviction that China was going to move, because of just this area where price can move very quickly. This is the volume gap. We'll be discussing volume gaps quite a bit and the shelves in this show, because there's quite a few setups right now that have them. And that kind of makes me lean pretty bullish actually going into FOMC. And I'll kind of discuss that here in a second, but we still have about half of that volume gap to move through. Does it happen this month and we just get literally a straight up move to around 28.3 on HSI? TBD, but I do think it actually is possible. I think you're going to have like one of these candles from February of 2025. And when you have these volume gaps, you just don't have a lot of liquidity. So price can move very quickly. So that was the overall thesis. Now, this is something I've done multiple times. I would have added Baba to this, but the chart would have just been way too scrunched. So I try to make this chart identical so you can kind of just reference things really quickly. So essentially the October 2024 pivot is where I anchored the volume profile. And I did that on both of these. That's pretty much what this arrow with the blue annotation is pointing to. And you can see these charts are not exactly the same, but they have very similar characteristics where you had a big sell-off pretty much into the end of the year in 2024. You had a move up into January. You had this kind of pullback down to the lows that we saw on the initial pullback in 2024. And then BIDU over here just absolutely blown people's minds over the last month. The technicals were there, especially on the longer term charts. And you could tell people were getting very impatient with this one. That's really how you knew it was probably about to go. Now, you had the volume shelf set up. You had very low liquidity. You didn't have a lot of supply above. And you've pretty much gone straight up. So, my goal, and I think I've mentioned this on the show before, is, okay, if we know what the leader is doing, the leader was really Baba. It was Baba, then BIDU, and now it's, JD's in that position to potentially kind of take on the next move. So very simple thesis here. You've got price finally starting to get above this volume shelf shown by this green circle. We're moving up into this very low area of liquidity, pretty much right up to 40. Now, I do think this is probably going to go to 47, just this previous high. And you can just look at the previous move on BIDU or the current move. You pretty much just went straight back to the highs from 2024. So if that happened in JD, 47.82 is that high from October of 2024. I have very long dated options on this because it's JD. It can just absolutely do some crazy stuff in the short term. But this, I've traded this before, and it does have just a characteristic of this thing could go up 10 days in a row. And in 10 days, like 20 to 40%. It already happened in September of last year. So I do think we're going to get a pretty similar move here. As far as the weekly candle goes, that you can really see the volume gap here. On top of that, you do have the lower indicators also aligning. So you have a recent MACD cross. You've just got this extreme compression that's been happening over the last pretty much like 6 months here, 5-6 months on JD. So compression is essentially when these highs and these lows get tighter and tighter. They get, the margin between the highs and the lows are getting smaller and smaller, kind of like you're coiling a spring. So that's what compression is when price action just keeps getting tighter and tighter. And now that we're moving into this volume gap, it would not shock me at all to see this thing at 38, 39 by the end of the week. Does it have to do that? No. Am I betting on that? Not really, because I have the January and the March calls. But at the same time, wouldn't shock me at all. And if it didn't happen this week, I think $40 could probably happen easily by the end of September. But we'll just kind of see how that's going. But I know, Jerremy is a big fan of long-term and short-term time frames. The multi-time frame analysis man himself. And so if we do go to the weekly as well, this thing hasn't even moved. We're not even above the volume shelf on the monthly, and the top of the volume shelf is right around 38.50. So, this thing could literally be a mover till the end of the year. This could be one of those names where if you really lock in and you stick to the thesis, you have enough time. Shares are also a way to play this, especially when something like this can move 50% in literally a month and a half, 2 months. Shares are always an option too. Shares are a lot easier to hold than options. So that's up to each individual's risk tolerance. But JD has every single thing I look for on different time frames. And so, that's why I have that conviction in JD right now. And I know Jeremy's also, seeing the stars align on his end as well. Generally, when those things align, him and I have two completely different ways of looking at the market. But when they do align, generally things kind of come together.
Yeah. Well, here's what's wild. So JD, now I will say this disclaimer, right? Always with China, you never know anything regarding their numbers. But JD.com has a market cap of 46 billion, and they have 175 billion of sales. Sales, which meaning they on book value, they're they should be worth 5 times more than they're worth right now. So I mean, yeah, it's a good play. There's a lot of really, really cool components to this trade. I didn't trade BIDU because even with Jake giving me a winning trade on it, I couldn't make money on BIDU. That's just one of my nemesis stocks, so I've just learned to stay away. Do you have a nemesis stock, Katie? Do you have something that you just can't trade profitably?
No, but I feel like I need to come up with something clever on the spot right now. I'm gonna say, I don't know. I don't have one. You know what? I like all stocks the same.
That's very kind of
a
you.
company called Scorpio. That could be
a Scorpio stock.
Should've
Kaiser
run away from.
Permanente is my nemesis because they have my ticker. Maybe Kaiser Permanente. I don't know. Throw a Northrop Grumman in there, whatever that one does. I don't know. Some arms dealer just to spice it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jake, do you have one?
AMD's up there.
All right.
Yeah, I never hear you talk about advanced micro devices.
Hate that stock.
Fair. Everyone's
there's another one. Tesla. Yep.
Oh wow.
Oh
yeah, you have talked about that before.
Tesla is like Baidu for I cannot. I mean, as far as analyzing it and saying what I think is going to happen, generally, will play out with the technicals, but me holding it does not work out very well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Everyone's got one, Katie.
I gotta go back to the lab and pick one. I need to really think about which stock I hate the most.
They're out there.
You guys talk about the kind of rotational nature of these China stocks. So you talked about Baba, you talked about Baidu and JD. Is there one after that you're tracking that could happen? A Pinduoduo, something else coming up on the heels of the ones you listed, or are you focused on these three for now?
Good call. Good question, Katie. Pinduoduo is having a great gap this morning. I mean, it's up 3.3%. From a day trading perspective, that's a really fun stock to trade, and it does have some really, really good volatility. But yeah, that one looks pretty strong as well.
Yeah, I think Neo is probably going to make a decent move. It's already kind of see. That's the thing is you've already kind of had Neo, Baba, Baidu front run. JD from the low is up maybe. I think the low is like 29.50 and it's at what 35.40 or something right now. So it's not even up 20%. If maybe a little around 20%. From the lows, Neo's up. I mean, it was at 4 and it's at 7. So, I mean, Neo's up well over percentage wise, more than that. PDD. Yeah. PDD is another one that hasn't really moved. It's had a ton of flow. And that's the thing about China stocks that, very defined flow comes in before China moves. I mean, you saw it in Baba, like for 3 weeks before Baba really moved. You just saw this insane, like 160 calls, $200 calls coming in, like heavy. So whoever is moving the market in these China stocks, and the way I look at it is, let's say you're an institution and you want to buy a massive position, $500 million, $1 billion, and you know that you're going to move the market, whether that's because you ate up all the supply or whatever, then they essentially just buy the contracts as well because they know the price is going to move up because of them essentially. So that's, I don't know who makes the market, but I mean, PDD had insane call flow coming in over the last few days as well. Millions of dollars in orders. So you saw the same thing in Baba, like massive orders coming in. You're even seeing it in JD the last few days. Like JD doesn't really usually get over $500,000 orders coming in, and they were getting those orders as well. So we'll see what happens, but I just think that JD out of all of them, and kind of, I'm glad Jeremy brought this up. The fundamentals of JD, that's where people are going to start coming in because, the market if everybody has the same thesis at the same time, a stock's going to move up, and then you're not going to, I mean, who you're going to pass the baton over to. So as the stock moves up, you have to have new believers in the stock. So first, generally what happens is you have the bottom feeders come in. Maybe there's a signal. Maybe it's simply the MACD.
Would you call yourself a bottom feeder in this metaphor?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, Jake's a bottom feeder.
I mean,
for sure.
that the RSI percent range and the MACD, like,
he's a catfish.
Is generally, you know, a bottom or a top. Tops are a lot harder to catch than bottoms, in my opinion. In a market like this, at least. So yeah, no, totally. First, you have the bottom feeders come in, people who are using the lower indicators, oversold RSI, MACD, all that, and then it gets, you know, the move creates kind of the next leg, which is people who are looking at scanners. Oh, increase in volume, or, you know, whatever their parameters are. And then, you know, people who are more like on the fundamental side start coming in, and it just creates this baton. So the people who just bought the bottom and are up 20%, they're like, okay, that was a good trade. I'm going to hand it off to the fundamentalists who now still think this is undervalued 20 or 30%.
And they can make their money too. Because what Jake mentioned, I'm really in that second category. Katie, can I teach you something? Do you are you familiar with how short trading works?
Yes.
So when people bet against the stock market, like if they short the stock market, there's only one way for them to get out of the stock. Do you know how they get out of the stock? This is not a joke. This is actually a question.
If you're shorting it, how they get out of the stock? Someone else buys it, or someone.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have a bunch of people that are shorting the stock, and the stock starts going higher, and they're like, oh crap, get me out. They have to buy to cover. Now, if they have a bunch of people buying to cover, that's buying pressure. So what's going to happen to the price of the stock, right? The price of the stock's going to go up. So what Jake just mentioned is he said that a lot of people will do like volume scans. So check this out. Share screen. I'm going to pop over to Neo because I haven't traded this when I'm not in this position, but this was a really, really beautiful volume play that, as Jake just mentioned, I'm a volume scanning guy. So this is what I look for. And I will say, for all the people out there, this is an oversimplification of this, but I am an oversimple guy. So I don't put anything on my steak. I just eat steak, and I don't put anything on my eggs. I just eat eggs, steak and eggs. That's pretty much it. So
and whatever Chardonnay you're sipping over there.
That's right. Straight Chardonnay.
Did you just not do the dishes, or what's the deal with that? You just thought it matched the full name today?
Yes, exactly. Okay. I thought full name needed wine glass water.
Okay. Good look. All right, back to Neo.
So check this out, right? This one particular day, this is like 4 days ago, September 10th, Wednesday of last week. Last Wednesday. What do you notice here? Huge random bear volume spike, right? So this bear volume, this red volume bar, represents tons of people selling. Those people can be selling short, right? Thinking that the stock's going to go down. And then what happens the very, very, very next day is that the stock closed above the price action that made all this bear volume. So when you had all this bear volume that came in on Neo, and again, this happens all the time, very, very often. This is an extremely easy setup to take. When you see a bunch of bears get squeezed out on a position, there's only one way for them to get out. And just like you said, Katie, they have to buy to cover. So that buying to cover is what created and was creating this really massive move right here. And to put it into like mathematical perspective, if you bought Neo at 6 and right now it's at 722, that's $1.22 a share. And that the big news about that is that could be a mortgage, right? If you have 5,000 shares of Neo that you bought at $6, which is not that large of an investment. That's a $30,000 investment, which means, you know, you could have a $15,000 account and done on a margin. You paid a mortgage on Neo in 4 days using technical analysis. So the beautiful part, at least to me, I think, is understanding that ultimately trading, what Jake said, is you have the people that first come in, call them the bottom feeders, the people that are actually smart. And then you have me, which is like, oh, wow, this is a really obvious signal. I got to play it.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation where the bottom feeder is actually a good thing to be. Technically, in life, you don't want to be a bottom feeder, but you're saying in this situation, you could be a bottom feeder. You can come in later. Everyone can eat in this situation.
Yes. I love it when everyone eats.
I love it. I want to get back to the setups you guys have, but I do want to ask your opinion on this push to potentially end quarterly reporting, because Shy had some like harsh words yesterday. He thought it was idiotic to move away from it, but some countries do biannual. Would this impact your day-to-day at all for what you guys do, or are you kind of like, whatever, it doesn't matter when these companies file?
Jeremy's really thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean,
did you have a visceral reaction, or were you just like, meh?
Yeah, I've never ever heard of that proposition. That almost seems like so obviously wild that it probably would just never occur.
So a lot of Fortune did a survey of CEOs hate it, right?
Oh yeah, CEOs hate it, but it's so obviously easy, right?
Yeah,
or because it's a tax thing too. Got to keep that in mind, right? Quarterly taxes, you get rid of quarterly filings, you got to get rid of quarterly taxes, and then you get rid of the IRS, which is, I think, everyone's goal anyway. So it's a fascinating idea. It's really, really cool.
Yeah,
I'd be all for it. Wouldn't bother me.
But like trader, you love it, Jake?
Yeah, I absolutely hate earnings season.
What? You're like the Grinch.
It's
just funny because you're drinking out of like a Christmas cup.
No, there's a reason. No,
we both have very interesting containers.
Yeah, what is that?
It's from Chile.
Did you make that in like one of those paint and sip classes?
No, I didn't. All right, probably some nice person made that.
Arts and crafts time over here. Dude. You guys are very different vibes today. Usually you're on the same wavelength. Interesting. Okay, because yesterday we were talking the vibe with I was talking to Tom Bruni and Shy, and they were like, "This sucks," because they're like, "We got to wait 6 months. We don't get the granularity." But you're just looking at the trading. But wouldn't the trading volume be impacted if there were fewer earnings calls?
No, but I mean, like technical analysis works generally when there are no like landmines you're trying to completely avoid.
Less is more.
Yeah. So. And the problem is it's, earnings season is not about just the stock you're trading. So you could be an AMD and they don't have earnings, but then NVIDIA comes out and just completely destroys the technical setup on AMD because of something the CEO said. And so then you're like constantly, like I said, it's not even it's very easy to avoid a stock that's got earnings. I mean, the one thing I do like about earnings a lot of the time is if there's a setup like 3 weeks before earnings, generally that setup will play out. On top of that, if you're playing options, the implied volatility of those options will go up. So you actually get a little bit of a premium push just from the market starting to price in that volatility from earnings. But as far as the actual earnings event, it sucks because you have to literally look, okay, well, I'm trading Meta or let's say Snapchat. Meta comes out with some crazy thing that's going to put Snapchat out. Like Snapchat has nothing to do with those earnings, but the comments from, the company could completely move the market. So I think it would just make the market a lot more kind of like move in the direction that it's in the trend that
wouldn't mess with your pretty charts that you spend so long setting up, It's not going to come in there. It's interesting. I mean, selfishly, I don't know what we would talk about every day if this were happening less frequently. But you're right, a lot of companies, it's a pain. I've been in companies working with our teams. It's a pain in the ass.
Speaking of Cracker Barrel.
Speak of the devil.
Speaking of earnings quarterly, I mean, those are coming out and there's zero chance they're good. So that's going to gap straight down.
Who knows? Maybe there was this. No, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be absolutely horrific. It's going to be like the inverse American Eagle. Like it's like whoever like they hired the opposite of Sydney Sweeney. Like that's what happened to Cracker Barrel.
Me. That's what they did. They hired me. The exact opposite of this Sweeney.
This whole thing upsets me because I freaking love Cracker Barrel.
It's back down to where it was when we were talking about it last time.
Yep. When's the last time you ate at Cracker Barrel though, Katie?
Like it was like 3 years ago. It was not that long ago.
That's a little bit of a time.
Is it? I live in Manhattan. Do you know how far I have to go to find a Cracker Barrel? It's like I got to go on the Oregon Trail and like
you got to hike,
like ford the river to get to Cracker Barrel.
There's probably one up in the Adirondacks of New York.
Oh, I love the Adirondacks. I don't know if there's one up there. Like deep in Jersey for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of like the chart here, though.
Let's pull it up.
Jake's getting excited. Let's go, Jake.
All right. Well, to be honest,
tell me how
I
to
just
play
looked at the
Cracker
line
Barrel
chart.
earnings. I'm gonna actually hop in this one. If you tell me what to do, I'm gonna jump in.
Oh God.
None of this is investment advice, by the way.
Okay, can you see my chart?
Yeah.
Let's see. So if you go to a monthly,
lead us to the promised land, Jake.
Well, I honestly just looked at it on the line chart here. I'm not sure what the.
Yeah, let's put that line chart back on, dude. What are we doing with these candles?
No, this is kind of
whoa.
Like look at. Hard to say. The line chart looked better on my phone, on my little stock app. That's how I find most of these setups is on my little Apple stock app on the line chart. This is why it looks good. Massive volume shelf here. I can't imagine that publicity they got, regardless if people maybe said, I'm not eating there for a little bit, for the week that they decided they wanted to change it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This actually looks pretty decent. I looked at the options chain when we talked about last time. There's just not enough liquidity, but from it was at what, 71, like what is that, back in July? I don't know. Doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad. But yeah, earnings, I do think this probably is a pretty decent setup going into earnings. But yeah,
I'm just gonna listen for the vibes. I like to hear the fear in the voices of the executives. I really am looking for those cues. Like I read that book that FBI people wrote of how to detect a lie, and so I like to listen to earnings calls and see where they're shaky. I want to get back to the setups you guys prepared for today, but I do have a news item that I think is funny and interesting. Rick's Hospitality, Rick's Cabaret, which is a publicly traded company. I don't know if you guys knew this. Their shares are down 17% after New York Attorney General Letitia James indicted 5 senior executives, including the CEO Eric Langan. If you guys are on X,
oh wow,
he's Rick's CEO on X. He's everywhere.
Yeah, he's an interesting.
He was in Spaces. So allegedly, charges of bribery, conspiracy, and criminal tax fraud. They alleged that he bribed a state tax auditor with lavish trips and private dances at company-owned clubs, avoiding more than $8 million in New York City and state taxes between 2010 and 2024. Wow. So this, I think, I didn't even know this was publicly traded until like kind of recently. But they were all over FinTwit. Like they were doing Spaces. They did an earnings call. I don't know if you guys remember this, from one of the clubs.
Oh my God.
So
yeah, not shocking.
But yeah, you guys big fans of Rick's? You frequent?
No, but there's one in Blackhawk. It's like the mini Vegas and like 45 minutes west of Denver.
Oh.
And, it's like called Central City.
Okay.
I went there like a week or so ago. And
you went to Rick's a week ago?
No, I went to Central City and then Blackhawk. And I'm like, what the hell is a Rick's? This place is like just. If you ever seen the House of Wax, it reminds me of that. Like, there's not one person walking in that little town, and then you got Rick's. And I'm like,
Rick's Cabaret. There's a couple in Manhattan, and when you walk by, you're just like, whoa. There's some weird stuff going. Like it's like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you walk by, and you're like, I need to know who's in there right now. Never been
Tuesday.
Would go. Maybe next time you guys are in New York, we'll all go. And someone will try to bribe us
if they're still open.
Yeah, I like how this headline says, but retail traders are unfazed, and the stock is down. The stock is down from 35 to 27 in 2 days.
This is the whole brand they built with retail. This is all part of the story of the stock. Like people, they're like, look at that guy. By any means necessary, But anyway, I thought that was an interesting one.
That is. Yeah, I've never heard of it. I like learning about new companies that are publicly traded. Sometimes I just don't know.
Me
this
too.
Is one of those.
Another fun one, less salacious, but Utz Pretzels is also publicly traded. That's a fun one.
Ooh.
And there we have our opening bell. All right, guys. I know we have a list of a lot of other things. Maybe we do Ether, Bitcoin, we go crypto, or we can, go back to your favorite Jake, ONDS. whatever way you guys want to swing it, we can go in that direction.
Let's talk about crypto. Jeremy, you want to start? I mean, I think, like as far as FOMC goes, maybe we should discuss that. I mean, generally, I don't have much of an opinion into this, like these events, but I see a lot of people thinking the market's just going to tank, no matter what they say. I just don't really see. I mean, I think I think there's two options. There's one, I think there's going to be some crazy, just rip the Band-Aid off 50 basis point drop. Or I think these are the two options, that or 25, which is pretty much just completely almost priced in. But the forward-looking statement and thoughts from Jerome Powell is probably what will move the market. I think if he does do 25 and not 50, I think he's going to be extremely dovish, like the most dovish he's been in years, which isn't hard because he's not generally very dovish. So I do think, regardless, I think crypto is just waiting for the event to be over. Like, I don't even think I think the market at this point may be just waiting for the event to be over. And then pretty much for the next while, the market can just move on its own. The market has been decently on this decent seasonality likewise, but you look at April, April did not have the best start to the month. Generally, April is just like insane to the upside, which it did after we bottomed out. But so far, August has not been that bearish. Everyone was thinking it was going to be bearish. September has not been that bearish. Maybe the second half is, but at least the first half has not been. October generally is. So my thought is we could probably even continue to grind and melt up into mid to maybe even late October. And then everybody thinks November is this great month, and November actually may be a rough month. I don't know. That's just my thought, based on kind of what the market's done so far. Regardless, so I think Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of these are about to explode to the upside.
Regardless of everything I just said, they're going to explode.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a lot of previous cycles, this time of year, this is really when, big price moves start to ramp up again into the end of the year. I mean, if we do, Jeremy, you want to share first? Like BMNR, I know, you're also watching in that, and I'm in it, so maybe we could do a little cross reference of
let's do it.
When you guys talk about the crypto trade too, you're talking about these are like Bitcoin mining companies, adjacent companies that benefit from the industry overall, or are you trading direct assets? Okay.
Well, both. So I love Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Those are only the things I trade generally.
I will trade you don't hear that one often.
That's unfortunate. It is just so fun. It is so fun to trade. It moves like 30% a month up and down. It's really, really fun. And I look at Ripple just to make people mad. I never have liked Ripple, but Bitcoin, the thing is, it actually has reclaimed the 100 simple moving average, which is a really, really big deal. So you have this really beautiful push here. This is a new all-time high at the 123, 124 price point. And then we did have an absolute plummet fest, right? The Bitcoin did decrease 13, 12%. Very, very normal for that. But a lot of people kind of got caught sleeping on that. But that happened over about a month, pulled back, and then we look really good. So I think worst case with whatever happens today, if we dip back down into here, that dip gets bought, and we probably just slowly keep, to Jake's point, grinding and melting higher. Now, Ethereum has already had an absolute monster run, just monstrous. Don't mind all these drawings on this chart, but this was a beautiful, beautiful breakout of these long-term averages here. I was a net buyer into that price and just got really lucky on the upside, which is always exciting. I do personally think that Ethereum trades sideways for a little bit, allowing the averages to catch up, because again, just for individuals and for people who are watching and listening, what's amazing about this move is that's a 75-ish% move. 75% on a really, really beautiful asset that will over time go higher. So my general thought process is, as this trades sideways and this 100 kind of starts catching up, ultimately be a buyer And I like buying at interesting numbers. So for me, if I was going to buy Ethereum, I'll buy 44 Ethereum at all fours, which is 444.44. So that's what I did yesterday. It just seems like you should do that. It just seems like a nice,
very
nice
woo
play.
woo. I feel like that means something. I saw someone with a necklace that said 444. Oh no, that's something else. Keep going. I'll find it.
Not sure what it means, but I just like the numbers because it's easier to keep track
No,
of.
it means something like spiritual. That's why I was like, okay, we have a woo girl over there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a woo guy. So I feel it. Bitmine Immersion Technologies. This is just an absolute. I think all of these, SBET, Bitmine, the Ethereum like holding, I think they're garbage companies. I don't think they're going to do anything. But short term, this is a beautiful pattern. And what Jake was seeing is I'll put the short term moving averages on. So this is one of my favorite little strategies, which is a bear candle closing above the 10 exponential moving average. So this red line is the 10 EMA, and this bear candle, this was the first bear to close above the 10 EMA. So then I go long above that candle. So that was at, let's just call it 50. So now we're at 55. I'll buy this dip into that moving average and just kind of let this slowly churn higher. I think 65, where we just were in August. So not long ago, mid-August, a month ago, we were just there. I think that could easily happen again. And the moving averages have crossed on the daily, the weekly. You got the 10 there kind of propping it up as support. So in general, trend and chart does look pretty nice. And for me, I do think that if we do get any dip at all, I think that dip does eventually just kind of get bought up by the overall market. And we just slowly kind of trudge higher in most crypto stuff.
Jeremy, out of curiosity, what platform do you use to trade crypto directly?
I use Coinbase.
All right. CB guy.
Mm-hmm.
I also looked it up. 444 is the angel symbol. It has very deep meaning. Says, slow down and take a step back. Doing so will help you examine how you can build a solid foundation. When you accomplish this, you can pursue your goals with renewed energy. So,
I like that. I'm a fan.
There's something to it.
Yeah.
And then second question unrelated to the angel sign spiritual thing. You mentioned Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. Would Solana ever do to you? You're just not interested.
I'm just early in the Ethereum world, and so I'm just a big fan of Vitalik. Nothing negative.
He seems like kind of a G. Like he dresses like he doesn't. He lives on the
street. Straight thug, absolute gangster. Vitalik is. I mean, he coded Ethereum in his mom's basement at 16 in Canada.
Hey,
like that is
a lot of genius. Avicii started in his mom's basement, I believe.
It's amazing. It's such a cool thing. So nothing against Solana. I'm just a Vitalik guy.
All right. Well, I want to get Jake's thoughts, but on the Solana note, Galaxy Digital actually just acquired about $300 million worth of Solana on Monday via Binance. So we were talking to Mike Novogratz over there a few weeks ago, and they're going big on Solana. So some people are talking about that one, but cool. we shall see. Jake, do you have anything to layer onto what Jeremy shared there?
Oh, you muted Jake.
Sorry, Mocha was
I knew it.
Mocha was whining, and we just didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Mocha!
Mocha! Come to the camera, Mocha.
What is she even doing back there?
Come here, Mocha.
Yeah, no, don't do that. He'll get real wild.
I've been misgendering Mocha for weeks, and you didn't even correct me.
Well,
Mocha just sounds like a girl's name, like Mocha.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not trying to.
Jake is very gender fluid.
Jake's very modern in his ways.
There's some he's kind of like a Eastern European, Luca is like a guy's name.
Oh, okay.
Luca,
okay.
That's kind of
Luca. Okay.
Anyways,
maybe he'll slim down like Luca too. Maybe we'll.
Probably not.
Okay.
That guy likes eating way too much, and eating the other one's food. Yeah, poor guy. But yeah, I mean, for me, I actually think BMNR is probably going to go almost maybe. I don't want to get too aggressive here, but it could be like a 2 to 3 candle move. I think it goes almost straight to 65. The reasoning is simply one, this thing trades like a penny stock. It's almost a $10 billion market cap. This thing just moves like crazy. Yesterday, I mean, we saw a big move down, and the next thing I know, this thing's green. So volume shelf setup that we're looking at the daily candle here. So volume shelf setup here, you're starting to get into some pretty thin air right here. And I'm anchoring the volume profile from the July 3rd high here. So there's really not a lot of volume until you get right to around 63, 65. But if this thing really takes off, if Ethereum, if crypto in general move really hard, like they did initially after Jackson Hole, and then that pretty much just completely gave it all back. I just think I think it's been consolidating for a while as far as crypto goes. Now, this kind of moves on its own a little bit. I think this maybe moved yesterday because of the picture that Tom Lee had with, who was that?
Eric
Ted Cruz?
Oh, it was Ted Cruz. Yeah.
Was it? No,
Eric Jackson was with Eric Trump.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tom Lee was with Ted Cruz. That was a weird, I was like, okay. Like where those guys hang out,
Yeah. Well, I mean, someone, was buying huge amounts of calls on this yesterday. So I don't know what was discussed in that meeting, but Tom Lee's generally not someone you want to fade. He's pretty good at his job. So I just think this has the chance, and I still am in the ballpark of, I think the market just wants this FOMC to be over. I'm not even sure Jerome Powell has to say anything other than just not say anything crazy. I don't think as long as he doesn't say anything crazy, I think the market's just going to say, okay, thank goodness that's over, and it's going to continue higher. The thesis is a couple things, right? One, you've got a lot of setups like this. You've got a lot of volume shelves. Now, volume shelves 100% can act like, melted butter, and price can go straight through them as well when the market is in that kind of situation, in that status quo. But a lot more of the time, these act as kind of a base for price to just kind of move up off of. So this is the daily prices getting real close to moving up above. A daily close above, call it 56.40, I think would be a pretty solid indication that this could be ready to really blast off. The weekly chart is also maybe even more convincing, at least for me. I'm anchoring from the June pivot here, so pretty much before it made that massive upside move. And it's at 55.60 right now. This high is at 71.74. And, from just based on how volatile this stock is, 71.74 is like easily achievable. That would be a huge move from where it is now, but I totally think this thing could probably be in the 70s by the end of the month. Just my thesis here.
Now that you paint that picture, Jake, I kind of want Powell to say something crazy.
Oh no!
Yeah, dude, that'd be fun.
I'm always rooting for chaos, and I feel like he's got, he's a deadhead. I feel like he's got something in him that it could just, something could short circuit, and he's like, you know what, F it, I'm out. But we'll see.
The Fed is fake. Money doesn't work, and then just goes up there.
He's got one of those those guns that shoots money out, and he's just like, everyone gets some. I'm out. What's that movie where he's like, F you, F you, F you, you're cool, I'm out. He'll do that.
What is that?
I don't know what it is.
That will be very wild.
Anyway, back to the chart. You were saying, Jake.
Well, this is Ethereum. This is kind of back. BMNR has its set up here. Generally, I'm not gonna. This from the amount of setups I've seen that look like this, they generally resolve to the upside. That doesn't mean every single one has, but I think it's got the hype. I think it's got just a little bit of that retail aspect to it, where there's a lot of retail traders that like this, and retail has definitely been moving the market this year. They were the ones that were buying pretty much the bottom in April while everyone else was selling, and then that's honestly why I think you've had such a grind up in the market, because all these institutions, all the smart money, if you want to call it that, sold into that, and now they've pretty much just been trying to window dress the entire time since then, to show that they have exposure to the market, even though they sold the bottom. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I just think that this one does have that look. We'll see what happens. But then Ethereum is also one that kind of will, I think, help this a bit. So generally, when you have this type of setup, well, one, you've got the volume shelf setup, right? So just same thing. Price continues to kind of create a base here. Ethereum has pretty much done nothing for a month. It's just gone completely range bound. On top of that, 1, 2, 3, 5 red days in a row. And if you look, this is like extremely controlled selling. Just notice how like kind of perfectly almost linear this move down is. And generally, that's kind of that compression I was talking about earlier. Generally, when you have that type of nice controlled move down, you don't have some huge red candle in this mix. It's just 5 very just kind of like you've got a new marginally new low each candle. It's nothing crazy. And then today you're red on the day, but you haven't hit a new low. So overall, I think this is really just waiting until FOMC, and I think it's actually gonna have a pretty strong move. That's simply just based on the technicals here. That's simply based on the psychology of the market, where I think the market wants certainty, and you've actually seen this in the VIX, right? The VIX has just continued to move up over the last few days. I love to see that. I'd much prefer to see the VIX show that the market's not complacent, because if the market was complacent, you would have just seen the VIX pretty much just get crushed to like upper 12s, and it hasn't. It's actually front ran FOMC. So I like the fact that people are starting to get nervous, and that because they're starting to hedge their bets with FOMC. And kind of like what we saw last time with Jackson Hole, you saw just an absolute massive VIX crush. So if you are trading options, even if we'll see what happens, but if the VIX does get crushed and you're trading very short-term options, you're going to feel that. It's going to affect the implied volatility of the options you're in if you're trading very short-term options. So just a reminder on that. But yeah, I mean, I really just think the crypto market in general is waiting for this pretty much until Jerome Powell is just done talking. Bitcoin, very similar setup here, huge volume shelf. You've kind of got this like bull candle sandwich going on. So pretty much you had this kind of not a great look for August, and now September is pretty much just completely moving up in the opposite direction and taking out this entire body. Now it is only this, what is today, 16th, 17th? So it is the 17th. There's still 13, 14 days left in the month. This candle can look very different, but we've been consolidating now for about 3 months. So regardless, I think the market has been waiting for this event, and I just think it's going to be buy the crap out of crypto event. I even like to see Bitcoin kind of fall. I like to see crypto falling into FOMC. I don't really want to see it front run to the upside. So
yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, if it could just stay here, even if it goes and even if we flush to 115 on Bitcoin before FOMC, I think that's more bullish than bearish. So yeah, I mean, I think small caps are also going to do very well here. You can even see small caps starting to move up off this volume shelf. As I mentioned, there's a lot of these volume shelf setups right now. Yes, this volume shelf can act as like just completely like microwave butter, and you're going to go straight through it.
Microwave butter.
But this type of setup generally resolves with a very strong, what I like to call like kind of launch off this volume shelf. That is to be determined. I really don't want to see small caps get too ahead of themselves before FOMC. Honestly, I'd prefer it to just kind of stay right where it is until he starts speaking. And then the assumption would be that we essentially just rip to close to all-time highs. I think all-time highs are right around 245. I just think small caps in crypto, it's probably their time to shine into the second half of the year. And, that's 2BD. Last one I'll discuss here, or two more quick ones. Up. This is one I've just slowly been accumulating. Same thing, volume shelf setup, small cap stock, definitely a very rate sensitive stock because of their debt load. If rates start dropping, I just don't see this performing badly. This is the monthly candle chart. So a lot of people it's hard for them to grasp that the monthly candle is 1 month of price action. So even if we just go through 2 candles, that's a lot of time for most people that, want to wait for a stock. I had people saying, "Oh man, JD's been taking forever." I'm like, it's been like 2 weeks. I remember waiting, Jeremy, like a month and a half for Baba back in December, January. Celsius was like a 2-month wait. So that's why I like to trade shares on something like this. I don't touch options unless I'm selling them to generate income.
Yeah.
And then ONDS, I mean, look at this beauty. Same
on
thing.
that ass.
Volume show, and that will still happen. The volume shelf setup here, same thing. I mean, could price just completely slice through the shelf with the FOMC? Of course. But if we're just going to go on, like, if you're playing the statistics, this generally will resolve higher. And this one's been pretty impressive simply because I've never seen a company do 2 offerings that quickly, and both times the stock was up like over 20% from what the offering price was. So this thing has just been unreal. I'm not sure if Jeremy's trading this one right now or not, but I know him and I had some fun with this over the last couple.
Yeah, I don't have any position on it right now, but
this is the one you guys were on a boat in Croatia trading.
A boat,
not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this holds a special.
It does.
Yeah,
it's a special place in our heart.
There's memories that were built around that one.
Speaking of memories, Katie, how excited are you about October San Diego?
was gonna bring it up. I'm so excited. Guys, I don't know if you guys need to come to Stocktober. I know you guys are coming. You guys meaning people watching the show. It's October 20th, 22nd in Coronado. The hotel is sick. I already checked out the gym. The gym.
Is it
good? Who's grinding with me at 6 we're gonna be spinning and winning at 6 in the morning.
Come on.
And maybe I'm trying to see if we can get a little, I don't know, happy hour. We do the show as a happy hour under the beer tent or something.
Oh my goodness.
The lineup is stacked. So I don't know if you guys saw, but Eric Jackson, the chief of the Open Army, he's coming. And apparently he's coming. He's gonna be there. He's excited.
Wow.
Yes. And there's some backstory. There's some lore with him and Howard, who runs Stocktwits, where they got into it on X, but they've overcome their differences. They're going to hug it out on stage, and it's going to be a really good feel good moment for everybody. So I'm super excited. And there's lots of activities too. I know there's golfing. I think what was the other sport option? I didn't pick it.
Rowing.
Shuffleboard?
Yeah.
Dang.
Pickleball. No.
I will be golfing.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm also going golfing, but I'm not golfing. But I want to be around the golfing situation.
Yeah.
There's just like better outfits. I know that's why you guys picked it too. But it's gonna be great. So make sure you grab your tickets because I know those are going fast.
Any other is the Tom Lee or
yes?
Mark Newton? Tom Lee's coming?
Yes.
Yep, Tom Lee's there, dude.
Last time I checked.
He's coming to get your signature, dog, on a hat.
Wait, what?
He wants that Jake signature.
Tom Lee's awesome.
He is really cool.
It's funny. I met him right before COVID. So I was at TrendSpider at the time, and I was in Vegas for one of those conferences that do absolutely nothing for anybody really. But I can't remember what it was. But I saw him, and it's been really cool to see how over like 5 years he's just turned from like a very shy guy into just this like really confident,
outspoken. Yep.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
When I first met him, I'm sure he doesn't remember this, but I went up to him and I was just like, "Hi, Tom Lee," and he just kind of looked at me very shy, just like, "Who the hell are you?"
And then you're the guy with the tattoo on your ass. I heard about you.
Possibly too. Yeah. And then I saw him at CMT in 2023.
Okay.
You could see the confidence building.
The hair was getting
And now I feel like he's just going to be a wild child there.
You know what they say, the higher the hair, the closer to God, and he is on the up and up. So yeah, lots of fun characters will be there. We hope to see you guys there as well. Also, I don't know if you guys caught this headline. StubHub finally IPO'd, third time's a charm. I feel like I was personally part of this journey because they've just been absolutely destroying my bank account for years. They pulled off its IPO. They raised 800 million, pricing 34 million shares at $23.50 a piece. Market value of 8.5 billion. Shares are trading today under the ticker STUB. It's another ticker that maybe retail will like because they can say it.
STUB, yes.
STUB. But that's going down today. And of course, we're all waiting for, what do you guys do for the Fed meeting? Do you like crack a beer, put it on like your Alexa?
I actually may.
Jake will. Yeah, he's going to get a Pilsner.
Yes.
And
is that like your go-to, Jake?
He's going to throw sticky darts at Jerome Powell.
You kind of look like you would be like an IPA person.
No.
Oh, wow. That was like, there was no...
Mm-mm.
You know, Jeremy's got his
Me and Jake
Grigio.
don't like hops. We don't like hops.
Why?
Because we have no hops, and so we're angry at it. We're angry at hops.
I thought everyone in Colorado loved hops. I thought you had to like love hops to live there.
They do. They do.
They're gonna run you out of that state real quick.
They could. Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, I'd love going and just sitting at a bar, pulling my computer out, getting a beer, and then throwing the 10-second candle on, to be honest.
Wow.
Oh,
living on the edge, really.
Maybe,
truly.
You know, as time goes on, maybe throw it to like 30 seconds. But yeah, that first like 2 minutes, you get,
get all
that 10-second candle going, and it's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy stuff. Jeremy, what about you? What's your plan for later?
I'm flying to Austin today.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll probably be midair after everything happens and just going to go get some barbecue. I truly, honestly, to Jake's point,
I could give.
Yeah, to Jake's point, I don't really do much. I probably will put on a 30-second chart just to see what it does, because it's fun to see the candles and like the algos and like the high frequency traders making money.
We're just trying to get to your barbecue, which
I'm just hungry. I just love eating.
Austin rules. Have so much fun.
Super cool place.
Well, guys, this is always one of my favorite shows to do. I feel like I'm like hanging out on like a playground with like two older guys. I know I don't think you're older than me, but like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, you guys are just broing out, and I'm just like get to like hang out there, and it's fun for me. So I thank you for allowing me to be here, and thank you for coming on the show. And I cannot wait to see you guys in a month.
It's gonna be remarkable. Really, really stoked.
All right. To everyone else, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern with all the news from today. Thank you so much for tuning in.